The marketplace was crowded, filled with strange smells and louder voices. Colorful tents and floating signs blinked with alien symbols, glowing in the hazy light of the twin suns. Humans were rare here, but Cole didn't mind. He liked being where no one knew his name. He moved from stall to stall, searching for trade goods, always alert, always quiet. That's when he felt it, a small tug at the back of his coat. Gentle but firm. He turned around slowly, hand near his sidearm. Just in case, but it wasn't danger. It was a child, a tiny alien girl, no taller than his waist, with big yellow eyes and thin hands covered in dust. Her clothes were old and patched. Her voice barely louder than a whisper. "Human, are you single?" she asked, blinking up at him. Cole stared, unsure if he heard her right. She didn't wait. "My mom's really kind. You have to marry her." People walking by slowed down. Some turned their heads, but no one laughed. No one said anything. There was a strange silence in the air. Cole knelt down, confused but curious. "What's your name, little one?" he asked, trying to smile. The girl looked nervous. "Leah," she said. "Please don't walk away. Where's your mother, Leah?" he asked gently. Leah pointed with one shaky finger. "This way, please, if you don't help. They'll take her." Cole didn't fully understand, but something about her voice cut through him. It wasn't just fear, it was desperation. He followed her, weaving through narrow alleys between the stalls, past crates and steam vents. The smell of rust and whetstone grew stronger. They reached a metal door, half broken, with burn marks around the edges. Leah pressed her hand to a small panel, and it clicked open slowly. Inside it was dark, only a few flickering lights on the walls. "Careful," she whispered. "She's very tired." Cole stepped inside, eyes adjusting, and there she was, her mother. Lying on the ground, chained at the ankle, her skin was a pale shade of violet, bruised and dull, her hair long and tangled. But even in that moment, Cole saw something powerful in her face. She was unconscious, but not broken. He moved closer, checking her pulse, then looked back at Leah. "What happened to her?" he asked. "They sold her," Leah said, her voice cracking. "She used to be someone important, before the war." Cole's jaw tightened. "Sold? By who?" Before she could answer, the metal door slammed shut behind him. Cole jumped and spun around, drawing his weapon. Footsteps echoed from the hallway, heavy and fast. "Get behind me," he told Leah. Voice firm, she obeyed without question, hiding behind his leg, holding his coat tight. From the shadows came a voice, sharp and cruel. Well, what do we have here? A hero?" A group of alien thugs stepped forward, armed with clubs and crude energy blades. They looked at Cole like he was prey. "You're not from around here, human," one growled. "This ain't your problem." Cole kept his weapon raised. "She made it mine." They laughed, but not for long. He fired once into the ceiling, the sound echoing like thunder. The girl screamed, and the thugs backed off slightly, surprised by the noise. "Next one won't miss," Cole said coldly. But his heart was racing. He didn't come here for a fight. Still, he couldn't leave now, not after seeing what he saw. The lead thug pointed. "Fine, take them, if you can get out alive." They backed out, leaving the door open, their threat clear. This wasn't over, not even close. Cole looked at Leah, who was now shaking. He knelt again. "Can you walk?" She nodded, but tears filled her eyes. "Good," he said softly. "We're getting out of here." He moved to the mother and broke the chain with a small plasma cutter from his belt. Jirani, the mother, stirred weakly but didn't wake. Cole picked her up gently, surprised by her weight. She was strong, even half-conscious. "Hold on, Leah," he said. "Stay close no matter what." Leah followed, holding onto the edge of his coat like a lifeline. They stepped back into the alley, shadows moving all around them. Cole didn't know what he'd just walked into, but he knew one thing: this wasn't just about trade anymore. This was something deeper, something that would change everything. All because of a small voice in the marketplace. "Human, are you single?" The door creaked as Cole stepped back into the dark hallway. Leah's tiny footsteps echoed behind him, soft but quick, in his arms. The alien woman was still unconscious, her breath shallow. The cold air bit at their skin as they rushed through the cracked walls of the back alleys. Finally, they reached a hidden stairwell behind a trash chute. Cole kicked open a rusted hatch that led to an old storage room. It was quiet here, forgotten by the rest of the city. He placed the woman gently onto a thick blanket on the floor. Leah knelt beside her mother and held her hand tightly. "Mom, it's okay now," she whispered. "He came. Just like I hoped." Cole took a deep breath, wiping sweat from his forehead. He looked at the alien woman closely for the first time in the light. She wasn't just someone's mother. There was something graceful about her, even now, her long lashes, the proud shape of her jaw. Her skin shimmered faintly under the dirt and bruises, like it remembered what beauty was. Then slowly, her eyes opened, golden and fierce, even in pain. She gasped, confused, trying to sit up fast. Cole raised his hands gently. "Easy. You're safe." Leah moved closer. "He helped us, Mom. He didn't leave." The woman looked at Cole again, her gaze sharp like a blade. She didn't speak at first, just watched him closely. "I'm Cole," he said quietly. "Human traitor. Not a fighter." The woman nodded slowly, her voice soft but firm. "Jirani," she said. "Mother of Leah. Former captain of the Kreen defense." Cole blinked, surprised. "A captain?" She didn't look like a soldier now, but her presence said otherwise. "What happened to you?" he asked. Jirani leaned back, wincing. "I refused to follow a corrupt order. They branded me a traitor." She touched the scar on her arm, barely visible under old cloth. "They took my rank, my land, everything, then sold me." Cole clenched his jaw. "And your daughter?" Jirani's face broke for a moment, her lips trembling. "I hid her. Begged them not to touch her," she whispered. "She's the only reason I stayed alive." Leah climbed into her mother's lap and hugged her tight. Cole stood quietly, not knowing what to say. All his life he dealt in trade goods, weapons, machines, but never people. Now somehow he had two lives in his hands. Jirani looked up again, her voice tired but calm. "You should leave now, before they find you too." But Cole shook his head. "Too late for that," he said. "They already saw me." "I'm in it now." Jirani's eyes softened, a flicker of surprise in them. She reached out, her hand brushing his arm. "I never thought a human would help us," she said. "They only come here to buy or destroy." "I didn't come to buy people," Cole replied. "But your daughter walked straight into my life." They both fell silent, the air thick with things unspoken. Then Jirani asked the question that made Cole pause. "Why didn't you just walk away?" He thought for a moment before answering. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe because she believed in me before I said a word. She didn't ask for food or money. She asked for something else. Something real." Suddenly the building shook, faint but clear. Jirani's head snapped up. "They've tracked us," she whispered. "They're coming." Cole ran to the door, pulling a small sensor pad from his belt. 3 red dots blinked on the screen, closing in fast. He cursed under his breath. "No time." He tossed a cloak to Jirani and picked up a bag of gear. "Can you walk?" he asked. She stood slowly, pain on her face but pride in her stance. "I can run," she said. Cole smiled for the first time. "Good," he said, "because we're not staying here." He handed her a plasma blade, old, scratched but still sharp. Jirani took it without hesitation, flipping it open in one motion. "You remember how to use it?" he asked. She gave him a dry look. "I never forgot." Leah held her mother's hand tightly as they moved toward the back exit. The girl looked up at Cole with bright eyes. "Are you still single?" she asked innocently. Cole laughed quietly. "Despite the danger, I guess I am," he said. "But I didn't expect a marriage proposal to come with gunfire." Jirani smiled faintly for the first time. "Neither did I," she said. "But maybe this is how destiny works." The door hissed open, the cold night wind rushing in. Ahead lay narrow alleys, steam pipes and danger, but also hope. Cole looked at both of them and nodded. "Let's go," he said, and they vanished into the night. The streets were silent at first, too silent. Cole knew that kind of silence, when the air holds its breath before violence. He, Jirani, and little Leah moved through the narrow back lanes. Steam hissed from broken pipes, rising like ghosts from the ground. Their shadows flickered across the brick walls. Jirani walked without showing pain, but every step was hard. Leah clutched her mother's hand, then looked up at Cole. "Will they hurt you too?" she asked quietly. Cole didn't answer right away. Instead, he scanned the rooftops and alley mouths with sharp eyes. "If they try," he said softly, "they'll regret it." They reached a hidden door in the side of an old energy station. Cole pressed his thumb to the panel, and the lock clicked open. Inside was an emergency access tunnel, dark, narrow, and cold as metal death. Jirani hesitated. "I don't like small spaces," she admitted. Cole nodded. "Neither do I, but it's our best chance." They entered. Walking carefully through the cramped space, the tunnel sloped downward, deeper into the underbelly of the city. Water dripped from the pipes above, and the walls were lined with old wires. Halfway through, Leah tugged on Cole's jacket. "There's someone behind us," she whispered. He turned fast, weapon raised. A red beam from a drone scanner glowed far behind. "They found us," Jirani said sharply, her hand gripping her plasma blade. "Go," Cole ordered. "Run to the end of the tunnel. I'll slow them down." But Jirani stayed by his side. "I told you, I can fight," she said, her voice like stone. Leah ran ahead, ducking into the shadows. Cole and Jirani stood together, backs against the wall as the drone got closer. It buzzed low, searching with its red eye. Cole fired one clean shot. The drone sparked and crashed into the tunnel wall with a burst of blue light. "Now!" Cole shouted. "Move!" They sprinted, boots splashing through cold puddles. When they reached the exit, the door was jammed. Cole slammed his shoulder into it, again and again. Finally, it broke open, revealing a snow-covered alley bathed in pale moonlight. The city above was glowing, but here, at the edge, it was quiet. Too quiet. They stepped into the freezing air, steam rising from their breath. Jirani wrapped her arms around Leah, trying to keep her warm. Cole checked the skies. No drones. "Not yet. This way," he said, and led them up a broken stairwell that led to an old fuel tower. Inside it was dry, dusty, and half collapsed. But it would do. He started a small fire in a barrel, the warmth chasing away the cold. Jirani leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "You okay?" Cole asked. She nodded. "I've survived worse." Leah sat on a pile of blankets, watching the fire with wide eyes. She looked so small in that moment. Her knees pulled to her chest. Cole knelt beside her. "Leah, do you want to sleep?" She shook her head. "No. If I sleep, they might take Mom again." Cole's chest tightened. He reached out and gently touched her shoulder. "They won't," he said firmly. "Not while I'm here." Suddenly, an explosion echoed in the distance. The gang had found the tunnel and realized it was a trap. Cole stood, eyes on the window. "We don't have much time," he muttered. Jirani stepped closer to him, her voice low. "You should have left us," she said. "You still can." But Cole looked her straight in the eyes. "I'm not going anywhere." She studied him. For a moment, something soft flickering in her gaze. "You're strange for a human," she said. Cole smirked. "I get that a lot, outside." Cold wind howled through the broken windows, but inside, the warmth of the fire and something unspoken kept them steady. Leah looked at her mother, then at Cole. "Does this mean he's really going to be my dad?" she asked. Jirani blinked, then looked away, her cheeks darkening slightly. Cole chuckled awkwardly. "Let's focus on surviving first, yeah?" The fire crackled as the three of them sat close. A strange team, an ex-soldier, a traitor, and a brave little girl. But fate had brought them together, and now they would fight to stay that way. Above, in the dark sky, more drones began to gather. The enemy wasn't giving up, but neither was Cole. The wind outside howled like a beast. Snow whipped across the broken rooftops, coating everything in white silence. Cole's breath steamed in the air as he carried Leah on his back. Shirani walked beside them, wrapped in a tattered cloak. Her eyes sharp despite the cold. They had left the city's last lights behind. Now they entered the outskirts, ruins, ice, and forgotten roads. No guards, no drones, no trackers, just bitter air and quiet darkness. A perfect place to disappear. If you could survive it. Cole led them through a narrow path between two broken transport towers. At the end stood a squat, half-buried structure, an old power relay station. Its walls were thick, reinforced with metal and stone. He pushed open the door with effort, snow crunching under his boots. Inside it was dark and freezing, but safe. He activated a small generator, and dim lights flickered on. The hum of energy filled the room, slow and steady. Shirani helped Leah down, wrapping her in a blanket and rubbing her small hands. The child's lips were pale, but she smiled. "This place smells funny," she whispered. Cole chuckled. "That's because no one's been here in years. But it's safe," he added. "And warm." Shirani looked around cautiously. The room had old supplies, blankets, dried food, sealed water packs. Cole had used this place before when hiding smuggled cargo. Now it was a shelter for something far more precious. She sat near the small heater, letting the warmth touch her face. "You didn't have to bring us here," she said quietly. "No," Cole replied, "but I wanted to." There was a pause, a silence filled only by the crackle of the heater and the wind outside. Shirani turned her gaze to Leah, who had already curled up and fallen asleep. She brushed a hand through her daughter's soft hair. "She's never asked anyone for help before," she said. "Not until you." Cole leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "She's brave," he said. "You taught her that." Shirani looked at him again, her expression softer now. "I taught her to run, to hide, to fear, not to trust. She trusted you," she added. "Even when I didn't," he shrugged. "She had more faith than both of us." A quiet moment passed. Then Shirani reached into her coat and pulled out a small, glowing crystal. "This is all I have left," she said, handing it to Cole. "My family crest." From before the fall, Cole turned the crystal in his hand. It pulsed with soft light, warm and golden. He handed it back. "I'm not here to take things from you," he said. "Just to help you stand again." Shirani stared at him, surprised. "You're a strange man, Cole," she whispered. "Most would have sold us by now." He laughed under his breath. "Well, lucky for you. I'm bad at business." Suddenly, a soft alarm buzzed from his wrist scanner. Cole checked the signal movement on the far ridge. He turned serious in an instant. "Someone's approaching," he said. "Fast." Shirani stood immediately, blade in hand. She wasn't shaking now, she was ready. "Can we fight here?" she asked. Cole shook his head. "Too exposed, and Leah's sleeping." He moved to a hidden panel in the floor, opening a trapdoor. Below was a narrow crawl space lined with old metal and heating coils. "Hide with her," he said. "I'll draw them away." "No," Shirani said firmly. "We face this together." But Cole didn't argue. Instead, he reached into his pack and handed her a small device. "Press this if anything happens to me. It'll send out a distress signal." She looked at the device, then at him. "Why are you doing all this?" she asked. "You don't even know us." Cole paused, his voice low. "Because someone once saved me when I had nothing to," he said, "and I never got to pay it forward." Shirani held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "I will protect her," she promised. "With everything I have," he smiled, a tired but honest smile. "I know you will." Then he stepped into the snow again, door closing behind him. The storm outside swallowed his figure quickly. Inside, Shirani crouched in the hidden space, holding Leah close. The child stirred slightly, whispering, "Is he coming back, Mama?" Shirani pressed her forehead to her daughter's. "Yes," she said softly. "He always does." Outside, Cole faced the darkness, weapon ready. He didn't know who was coming, or how many, but he knew one thing: he wouldn't let them take this strange little family from him. Not now, not ever. The snow fell harder now. Thick flakes danced like ash through the icy wind. Cole stood alone on the ridge above the safe house, his coat pulled tight. His eyes scanned the frozen hills, his pulse steady but ready for anything. Then he saw them, 3 shadowy figures moving across the slope. They wore thick armor, faces hidden behind black visors. One of them held a tracker, the red light blinking fast. They were here for Jirani and Leah. No doubt. Cole crouched low and whispered into his cum. "They found us." Inside the safe house, Jirani's voice replied, calm and focused. "Understood," she said. "We're ready if you fall." He smiled slightly at that. Of course she would say it like a soldier. But he wasn't planning on falling. The mercenaries crept closer, unaware they were already being watched. Cole pulled out a smoke charge and tossed it to the side. The explosion hissed, sending up thick gray fog across the ridge. He moved fast, slipping behind a snowbank, then flanked them quietly. One of them stepped into his trap, a tripwire rigged with a sonic flash. It went off with a blast of light and sound, blinding them for a moment. Cole moved like lightning, knocking one to the ground and kicking away his weapon. The second attacker spun and fired, but Cole dropped flat and returned fire. A clean shot to the leg sent him down screaming. The third one turned and ran, calling for backup. Cole let him go. He wanted them to know what happened when they hunted families. He stood over the fallen mercs, breathing hard, snow settling on his shoulders. "Tell your boss," he growled. "I don't sell people." He dragged them to the edge of the hill and tied them to a post with energy cuffs. Then he made his way back to the safe house. Footsteps slow but steady. Inside, Jirani looked up as he entered, her blade still in hand. Leah ran to him immediately, hugging his legs. "You came back," she whispered. "Of course," he said softly. "I promised." Jirani walked closer, eyes searching him for wounds. "You're bleeding," she said, pointing to a scratch on his cheek. Cole wiped it with the back of his glove. "Not my worst day." She stared at him for a long moment, then something shifted in her expression. She stepped closer and placed a hand gently on his chest. "You could have died for us," she said quietly. "Why?" Cole looked down at her hand, then into her golden eyes. "I think I already told you," he replied. "Because no one else will." Jirani lowered her gaze, her voice low. "There's no reward for what you're doing, no credit, no medal." "I don't need a medal," he said. "I need you to live." Her hand trembled slightly, but she didn't pull away. Then Leah's small voice broke the moment. "Can we stay with you forever?" Both adults turned to look at her. Jirani smiled, soft and sad. "We can't ask him that," she said gently. "Why not?" Leah asked. "He protects us, he makes us laugh, and he's warm." Cole crouched and looked into the girl's hopeful eyes. "I don't know what the future holds," he said slowly, "but I won't leave you, I promise that." Jirani sat beside the heater, her body tired but her heart slowly opening. She had fought wars, lost battles, and been betrayed by her own kind. But this human, this strange, stubborn human chose her when no one else did. He didn't ask what she could give, only what she needed. Outside, the cold wind howled. Inside, warmth began to grow, not just from fire, but from something deeper. Later that night, while Leah slept curled in her blankets, Jirani stood near the small window, looking out into the snow. Cole joined her, standing close but silent. She turned to him suddenly, her voice barely a whisper. "If I asked you not to leave us, would you stay?" He looked at her, surprised but not unsure. "Yes," he said. Without hesitation, she blinked, and a tear slipped down her cheek, not from fear or sadness, but from the strange, unfamiliar weight of being safe. She wiped it away quickly and laughed quietly. "I must look pathetic." Cole smiled. "You look like someone finally being human." She leaned her head lightly on his shoulder, and for the first time in years, Jirani allowed herself to rest. The morning came quiet. Snow still fell beyond the frosted windows, but inside the safe house, something had changed. Jirani stood tall again, her shoulders no longer slumped in fear. Cole prepared his gear silently. Watching her with quiet respect, Leah drew suns and stars on the fogged glass with her fingers, humming softly. But peace never lasts long in places like this. A blinking red alert on Cole's communicator shattered the calm. He read the message once, then again, his jaw tightening. The Earth Alliance. Council has found us, he said. Jirani didn't flinch. Did they send a kill team? She asked. No, Cole replied. They're sending something worse. Diplomats. An hour later, a sleek hovercraft landed in the snow outside the safe house. It was silver and silent, like a knife cutting through the sky. 3 council agents stepped out, 2 humans in blue coats and 1 tall alien with a golden crest. They looked around like the place disgusted them. Cole met them outside, rifle slung but unloaded. I thought you people only show up when the cameras are rolling, he said. The lead diplomat, a woman named Elise Aaron, didn't smile. You've caused quite a stir, Mr. Cole, she said coldly. Protecting fugitives, resisting a bounty. Contract, releasing private surveillance to the open net. Wasn't private if it showed abuse, Cole replied sharply. The alien beside her hissed softly. Jirani is a former captain. She betrayed her own and now hides under human protection. She deserves a fair trial, Elise added, not rebellion. Cole stepped closer. She doesn't need a trial, he said. She needs protection. Like any other refugee. Earth's neutrality is delicate, Elise said firmly. Sheltering her could spark unrest. Cole folded his arms. So, you want me to hand her over? To who? The same people who chained her and almost sold her daughter. She's a political problem now, the alien added. And the council does not support political problems. Before Cole could reply, Jirani stepped out into the cold. She stood proud despite the wind, despite the bruises, despite everything. I am not a problem, she said, voice clear. I am a mother. And I will not hide. Leah ran out behind her and grabbed her hand. This is my mom, she shouted. You can't take her. Elise looked uncomfortable now. News drones had started to arrive. Someone leaked the meeting. Cameras floated in the air, recording every word, and now the story wasn't about fugitives. It was about a human traitor standing beside a wounded alien mother and a brave little girl. Cole glanced at the cameras and raised his voice. If protecting a child and her mother is a crime, he said, then maybe your council needs a new definition of justice. The feed went live instantly. Comments exploded across the system, people watching, reacting, sharing, from distant spaceports to city towers. Thousands began asking questions. Jirani's story, her face, and her daughter's plea reached across the stars, and suddenly, the council's cold logic didn't look so clean. Elise turned pale as her cum buzzed in her ear. She stepped away, argued with someone in hushed tones, then returned with a forced smile. The council will consider a protection status for Jirani and Leah, she said. For now, they are officially safe under humanitarian grounds. Jirani's shoulders loosened for the first time. Cole nodded, but his eyes stayed sharp. What about the bounty? He asked. Elise sighed. It's been withdrawn. Publicly, the diplomats returned to their craft, floating away without another word. The wind picked up again, but this time, it didn't feel so heavy. Back inside the safe house, Jirani sat beside the heater, her hands shaking just a little. Cole placed a warm cup in her grip. You did that, he said softly. You stood tall. I only told the truth. She whispered. Sometimes, he said. That's the most dangerous weapon of all. Leah curled up between them, yawning. Does this mean we can stay together? She asked sleepily. Cole smiled, then looked at Jirani. Jirani nodded, her voice low but certain. Yes. We're not running anymore. And for the first time, Cole felt something in his chest shift. Not fear, not duty, but the beginning of something he never expected to find so far from Earth. Family. The stars above shimmered like scattered diamonds. The sky was clear now. No storms, no snow, only peace. The war was over, not the one with weapons, but the quiet war of survival, of dignity, of hope. Cole stood near the edge of a rocky cliff. Just outside the rebuilt outpost, his coat fluttered in the breeze, hands resting on the metal railing. He looked up at the alien sky, a sky he once found strange, now familiar. Behind him, voices and soft music drifted from the lights of the camp. Leah ran toward him, her tiny boots kicking up dust. "Come on," she said excitedly, tugging his hand. "It's starting." He smiled down at her, letting her pull him. "How do I look?" he asked jokingly. "Like someone who's about to become my dad," she said proudly. Cole laughed, shaking his head. "Guess that'll do." The crowd had gathered outside the safe house. Friends, refugees, local workers, even a few humans from nearby trade posts had come. They stood in a half circle, holding lights that shimmered softly in the dark. At the center stood Jirani, no longer bruised, no longer broken. She wore a long robe made from silver threads and woven leaves. Her eyes sparkled like firelight in the cool air, and her smile was small but real. Cole stepped beside her, and for a moment, the world seemed to hold still. No noise, no fear, just the quiet beat of two hearts finding each other at last. The elder of the village, an old alien with glowing blue eyes, raised his hand. "Tonight, we witness not a contract but a promise," he said. "A promise between two souls who crossed galaxies and sorrow to find each other." Jirani looked into Cole's eyes. "I never thought I'd trust again," she whispered. "Never thought I'd live without fear." "You gave me a reason to believe in something more," he replied. "You and Leah both." Leah stood between them, holding their hands tightly. She looked up with a grin. "Now I have a real family." The elder handed them a single glowing ribbon. They tied it around each other's wrist, a symbol of unity in her people's tradition. No rings, no grand speeches, just shared silence that spoke louder than anything else. As the crowd clapped softly, Jirani leaned into Cole, her voice barely heard. "I still can't believe you stayed. I still can't believe you asked." He replied, smiling. Later that night, the three of them sat near the old fire barrel outside the safe house. Leah dozed off in Jirani's lap, clutching a stuffed toy Cole had found for her days ago. The flames crackled gently, painting their faces in gold and red. Jirani turned toward Cole, her hand brushing his. "Do you ever miss Earth?" she asked. Cole stared into the fire for a moment. "I used to," he said, "but now this is home." She nodded slowly, resting her head on his shoulder. "I thought I was nothing but a ghost," she whispered. "You're not," Cole said. "You're the strongest person I've ever known." A light wind passed, stirring the trees. Far above, a shooting star raced across the sky. Jirani smiled softly, her voice filled with something rare peace. "You saved us," she said. Cole shook his head. "No," he replied. "You saved me." They stayed like that for a long time, together, warm, quiet, whole. Not just a traitor and a soldier, not just a widow and a child, but something better. Something stronger, a family born not from blood, but from choice. And in the stillness under alien stars, that choice became everything.